Hi there, it's Ashley from Confident Going. Today we are going over the instructions for our wedding budget planner. So when you first download the file, you will download a PDF that includes a link, and once you click the link, it will prompt you to make a copy, and once you do that, you will be brought to this document right here. So we are obviously watching the video instructions, so you've clicked this link. And then once you've done that, the first things that we are going to do are enter the partner names. So it doesn't matter who goes first, gender none of it matters. So you're just going to enter names. So you can do that by typing over what's there or erasing it and then typing in a new name. And then the next thing is to enter your wedding date. If you're not certain at this point, you can just put in an estimate. It's not going to overly affect the spreadsheet. So to do that, you'll just double click on the cell, do that one more time, and then you can use the date selector to choose your date for your wedding, or you can just type in the date if that's your preference. Next, we are going to move on to the budget tab. So this is the budget tab. When you receive the file, it shouldn't have data in here aside from the column data on the left-hand side here. So the budget is broken down into different categories here, highlighted in pink, which you can change. So for example, if your reception and your ceremony are all in one and you just want to calculate that budget all together, you can just change the name and it will update throughout the spreadsheet for you. And likewise, you can change these names as well. So if you don't have a venue fee and it's just like main fee, whatever you want to label it, you can update those and it'll update the spreadsheet as well for you. So first thing you're going to want to do is label out all of the different categories that you can think of for your wedding budget. And then the next column over, column C, is estimated costs. You don't need to use this column in your budget if you don't want to, but it is here and this is how it works. So once you have an approximate amount for your budget, or you want to do this in the opposite way, figure out how much you're going to need for your budget, you can go through each section of your budget and enter in the estimated costs. So to do that, you will just select the cell, type in the value, and press enter, and it will update the spreadsheet for you. I'm just going to undo that to keep things the way they are. And so you can go through each section of the budget and enter those values. You can see here, for example, under reception, it says subtotal and it calculates the total for you, so there's no math required. And it does that all the way to the bottom of the spreadsheet. The next column over, column D, is the actual cost. So once you start planning and booking vendors and you know how much things will actually cost, you'll enter those values in this column here. And so, for example, maybe you budgeted or guesstimated $1,500 for your venue fee for your ceremony, but you actually found it's going to be $1,800. You'll just enter that number here. Now you can see underneath here this number is pink, and it is because it is larger than your estimated costs. It's just to alert you it's not really relevant, and feel free to ignore it if it doesn't work for you. And so once you've entered in all of your actual costs, or as you enter in all of your actual costs, they will total up here for you under one big budget total. So you can see under actual, we're at $44,000, so it'll add up for you. And if you're curious what the difference between your estimated cost and your actual cost is, it will be calculated for you here. So once you've entered in your estimated costs and you're working through your actual costs, the column F here is the deposit amount. So if you do pay a deposit and you want to make a record of that, you can enter the deposit amount in column F. Again, just click the cell, type your number, and press enter. And then if you want to log the date that you paid it or that it's due, you can enter that by double clicking the cell and then just selecting the due date, or the date that it's paid, which I guess would also be the due date. And that applies all the way down the spreadsheet. Every section of the budget is set up the same. In column H, we have the final payment due date. So this is the date that it's due. Helpful to know if you have a set deadline or you have to pay something by, or you're paying in installments. Again, so just double click to select the date and it will update for you. Now this column H, is important if you would like to be reminded if you have upcoming payments. So when you enter in a date here, if it is within the next 30 days, it will show up on your summary tab underpayments coming due here. It'll tell you the category, the date that it's due, and the amount that is outstanding at the moment. So back to our budget here. In column I, we have paid so far, and then in column J is the balance, so the amount remaining. Paid so far is a total of your deposit that you've paid, and then any amounts you've entered in the tracker over here on the right. So let's go over the tracker. So to use the tracker, if you want, you don't need to, you can just straight up enter the numbers in your paid so far. You will need to add in the deposit amount, but if that's something that you need to do, you can just let me know and I can help you with that. So you'll double click your date for your date, and then you'll select the category from the drop down. These will update with any changes that you've made, and then you'll select your subcategory and then enter the amount. I'm going to change this just so that it can show you up here where we're looking. So you can see that with our deposit amount of $750 plus the $800 that we've paid, so we've paid $1,550 so far, and that's what the balance is. So you can use this to track your payments, especially if you're paying in smaller amounts or saving in smaller amounts. You can track all of that with this tracker, and it will automatically update to the budget calculator. No math required on your part. So now back up here at the top, you can look at this chart at any time. We've got the total spent so far, which will match this column here. You've got what your total actual budget is, which is here, and then the amount left to pay. And then we've also got a breakdown, so you can see visually where all the money in your budget is going. And to use this graph, you can just select it, and then you can hover over the different categories, and it will tell you the amounts and percentages. Okay, so moving on to the guest list organizer. This is in the next tab. Again, it's got a summary at the top and then a place for you to enter in all of your guests attending or that you've invited. So simply you'll just enter their name. You can use this drop down menu here if you want to calculate or tabulate who the guest is, a guest of which partner. This list will auto-populate for you with the names that you entered on that first summary tab, or start here tab, sorry. And then in addition, if you want to note who they've been invited with, so that you can just send them one invitation. This drop-down list is populated automatically for you based on the names that you enter here. So you'll need to enter the first person in the party. Like for example, if you're inviting a family and the children, let's just say Michael Rodriguez is a child of Emily Johnson, you need to enter Emily's name first in order for it to be available in the pop-up menu. Then there are checkboxes here. If you've sent the invitation, you can just tick it, and again, this will all be blank when you receive the file. And then a drop down for their response, which is no response yet, declines, or attending. Now, if it's declines, you can see here it grays out the row, so it's telling you not to count them. But we'll just switch that for now, just so that we can see. And then in column H here, we have menu choice. So this is a drop-down menu if that's something you're asking your guests. Now, to enter this data, it'll be on your summary budget down here under menu choices. So let's just say we're gonna have chicken, fish, or vegetarian are your choices. There's 3 lines, so you can enter 3 different options. And then here on your guest list, these will be updated. And again, over here, it'll be updated for you as well, so that you can personalize that for your needs. And then moving on to the right, we've got a place for a table number. Now this will auto-populate for you from the seating map, which we will get to, but you can also just overwrite it and enter your own table numbers if you're not using that. Up next, we have the area for addresses. This is optional, you don't need to use it, but you can enter address name, address, city, province, or state, postal code, country, and use those obviously if you're making labels or getting your envelopes addressed. And then lastly here we have gift details and thank you sent. So if you enter any note, like let's say they sent you a gift card from a department store that I can't think of at the moment, but we'll just write from department store, it will count as a gift received. And when you tick off that you sent a thank you, it will count that as well. So if we go to our summary tab, you can see here gifts received is counted it as one, and then it'll tell you that you haven't sent them a thank you yet. So that's the general workings of the guest list tab, and then at the top here you can see your guest list capacity, how many you have on the guest list and how many guests you can still invite. So this number, guest capacity, you will enter that here on your summary, which is max guest is 100. And so it's calculating that value off of here. So if you want to change, like maybe you figured out you can afford to have more guests at your wedding and you want to change that, you can easily just update it and it will copy across this sheet for you. Moving on, we have guest distribution, which calculates the amount of guests that you've each invited. And then invitation replies. So again, this counts how many attendings, awaiting responses, or declines that you have, and it updates as you update the spreadsheet for you. And lastly, we have a distribution or a head count of your menu choices so that you can let your venue know that information, or your planner, whoever needs to know. All right, moving over to the checklist. There is a checklist here that you can use or you can change. It starts 24 months before, and these dates are a reflection of whenever you've set your wedding date to. So if you want to change the tasks but keep the date, you can easily do that. Just erase or type over it. We'll just undo that. And then when the task is complete, you can tick the box. And then you can also filter this. So let's say we've done a bunch of these. Oh, we missed those ones. You can change this to tell it what you want to see. So the only ones you want to see are the false ones. And then it'll show you what's left to do on your list. Moving over to the seating chart map. These tables will all say no data when you receive the file because it's waiting for you to enter the data into the chart. I'm going to zoom out a little bit so that you can see better. These numbers come from your guest list of how many are attending. It will account how many people you've seated and then tell you, obviously in this situation, we are overseated by 2 because we changed a couple things here, which we will just quickly switch. So in the seating map, what you will want to first do is enter how many people are maximum per table. The max number you can enter in the spreadsheet is 12. If you need more than that, send me a message. And then how many tables you have in total. The max value is 20. And you can see it adjusts to how many guests and tables you have. So once you have that entered, you can start entering in the guest names at the table and spot that you want them to be seated at, and they will show up in your table. I will zoom in a little because the names in this are quite small, but you can see that the guests have been seated at the table. Now, let's zoom back out. Presumably, there's up to 20 tables, so the rest of the tables are at the bottom of the spreadsheet. Now, if this is too many tables and you don't need all of these, or you're going to plan out a bigger seating plan, you can always select these and make them larger so that you can see the names better. Also, a lot of these names are quite long. However, the most important thing that I wanted to mention is that in order for this guest list chart to tell you what table the guest is sitting at, the name needs to be the same. So you can't put like Emily J, it needs to be Emily Johnson in order for it to match the table name to the table number to the guest name. And very quickly again at the top up here, it will tell you how many people are left to be seated and how many people you've seated, obviously. And then moving over to our next tab is a vendor comparison tab. Now I've entered a sample here, but this will all be blank and there's a whole bunch of them for you to use. So if you're trying to find a vendor and you're not sure which one to pick and you need some help, this is a cool kind of objective way or subjective objective way that you can do that. So you'll want to enter the service name and how much you've budgeted approximately, and then it will give you a suggestion based on the data that we're going to enter next. So you have the choice to choose up to 4 different values or things that are important to you in terms of making this decision, and out of 100, so make sure these numbers equal 100, how important those things are. So things like price, quality, customization, maybe the personality that they offer or the responsiveness, availability. The options are endless depending on what you are looking at. And then you will enter the weights of each of those things. So we've got 50% in terms of price. That's obviously very important to us. Quality is 20%. We are looking at flowers. 15% for customization, and then 15% for personality. In this case, I meant how well I got along with the vendor. Then once you have met with the vendor, you'll enter their name, their website and contact information. Obviously this is all just made up. And then any information about the package or the offer that they are providing you, and the price that it is if that's relevant. And then you will evaluate these on a scale of 1 to 10. So you will decide how well the price or whatever value you have selected, these will automatically insert for you, is. So the price seems pretty close to the price. They're under budget, so I entered an 8. The quality I thought was really amazing, so I entered an 8. Their customization was not so great, so I entered a 5. And their personality, I didn't really get along with them. So ultimately it calculates a score for me of 6.8. Now you'll repeat this with every vendor that you interview or are looking at to compare. And again, you can see, for example, with Flower Town, their price was $6,400, which was way over my budget. So I gave them a 2 for price. Quality and customization, I gave them both 10 out of 10 because I thought it was great. And their personality, we got along all right. It ultimately scored them a 5.25. And finally, Floral Suppliers, they ended up with a 6.4. So you can see the top score is 6.8, which is suggesting that Jenny's Flower Co. would be the vendor that I could go with. There is also a place over here for you to enter any notes, like maybe additional contact information or anything else that came up in your investigation to these vendors. Again, like I said, there's several of these on this spreadsheet, so let's just zoom out so you can see. So there's lots of space to compare your different options. Finally, the last spreadsheet in this, or the last tab in this spreadsheet, is a DIY cost calculator to decide whether it is better to buy something or make it yourself. So as an example here, I have used a centerpiece project as an example. So the first thing that I did some research, found the project that I was looking at making. I copy and pasted a picture from the internet that was my inspiration, and I entered in some notes for myself at the bottom here. You can do this in any order. So you're going to enter first here the cost to buy or rent a centerpiece. So for me, it was $50 to rent one or have like my florist make them for me. Now, these will be calculated for you. So the total number that I needed was 14. Now, down here, we're going to enter all of the different, materials and costs. So the candle holders, rental was $9. The greenery would cost $4. The candles would cost $8, and you can enter in all of those costs. It will total it for you, and then you're going to tell the spreadsheet how much this will make. So maybe all of these would actually make 10, so you would just enter that number there and it will update. And then you also need to tell the spreadsheet how long in minutes it will take you to make one centerpiece. Once you've entered in all of that, you will see up here at the top and that it tells you, we'll just switch that back, that it tells you the cost to make one yourself will be $25. So the difference is $24.25. So if you need to make 14, it's going to take you 7 hours, and overall it'll cost you $360 versus the $700 to buy or rent them. So again, there's a whole bunch of these calculators here so that you can decide what's the best option for you in your budget. Now last, I said we would come back to the summary tab. So this is your dashboard. At the top we have your total budget, how much you've spent so far, guests attending, how many you're waiting for your replies from, a countdown to your wedding, a to-do list. So all of these tasks come from the checklist here. Once they're ticked off, they will no longer show up on the to-do list here. And then we have any payments coming due. We talked about that one already. And then a summary you can see here visually of how your budget's doing. So this is comparing how much you've budgeted actually versus what you've spent to make sure you're keeping that under your goals. And then also a chart of how many guests are attending versus what you're waiting to hear back from. Gifts, which we went over, any seats that haven't been assigned, and meal selection. So this data will come from the guest list. And then the last place or thing for you to enter down here is the bridal party. So if you want to enter any names and other important people, you can enter that here. There's nothing fixed, so if you want to change this completely, you can do that and it won't affect the spreadsheet. So that is the wedding budget planner spreadsheet. If you have any questions, please let us know. Thanks for watching.